This work? Okay. So my company's General Engineering and Research, and my name's Robin Ihnfeldt. I was a graduate student of UCSD. I graduated in 2008, and when I graduated, I left. I went into industry, worked for a medical device company, and then had my own ideas of technologies that I wanted to develop, and I went looking for how do I fund developing a technology, and I Googled how do I get funding, and this SBIR program pops up, and so years later I finally got it funded, and so a little bit of more background on me. I had a couple years experience in the semiconductor industry before I went to grad school. I've also worked in pharmaceuticals, medical device company after grad school. I worked in the oil industry for several years. I'm also a licensed patent agent, and that made doing my own IP as a startup company saved me a lot of money. My company right now, I'm at 5 full-time employees. I just hired 2 of them this year, and 2 part-time. Hoping to be at 7 full-time employees by the end of this year. I think that's about all for that one. Oh, and that's a little picture of my company there. We're just located right down the street, Sereno Valley. It's a small little industrial warehouse space that I have turned into a nano engineering lab. So I incorporated the company in 2009, and I was working full-time while I incorporated the company and was writing grants and working full-time. I didn't get my first grant until 2012. In between that time, I'd left the job that I was working at and got into doing some consulting to help fund some initial results. And then when I got the first grant, I got the lab space, opened up the lab, all the equipment and all the bench stuff in there is all IKEA furniture that I got to put together. A lot of used equipment, but I was able to do that and build all of that out on the phase 1 grant. Subsequently got the phase 2 grant, and during that time, right after I got the phase 2 awarded, I had also gotten another grant from the Naval Research Lab, and it's not an SBIR, but that sort of steamrolled the company and went from 1 person in 2012 to 2 people in 2014, and 2015 I think we doubled, and so I've almost doubled every year since 2012. So now things are happening a lot faster, and it's been a great little ride. We have this one grant from NSF. Now that I have more people, I'm actually able to look at going into writing more proposals and getting more funding. So we're gonna look at getting DOE and some NIH funding for some of our platform technologies. So this is the technology, just a brief overview of what we developed under the NSF grant. We make nanomaterials basically, and this idea was to make a nano capsule, and it's useful for polishing wafers, so in the semiconductor industry. This is a particle that's used in a CMP slurry. That's the process. These slurries are about $1 billion a year market. So if we can get a little piece of that pie, it's definitely something that we can make money on. We just signed a couple weeks ago, a licensing deal with a big slurry manufacturer, so that now makes us eligible for some of the phase 2B funding. And it also gives us sort of we did what we said we were going to do under the first phase 1, and we taken it to the market. So it kind of gives us some leverage to continue getting funding and growing. Well, I think that's all I have.